Me as a Bedridden Teen by Andrew Cookham. Chronic fatigue syndrome, or CFS, causes long-term fatigue, which affects everyday life. It does not go away with sleep or rest, as so often mistaken by most people. CFS is also known and referred to more commonly as ME. The illness itself causes muscle pain and inflammation of the brain and spinal cord. Though this sounds rather awful, it is not fatal and symptoms are unlikely to kill you. There is, however, no cure for CFS, so treatment tends to focus on easing the symptoms, which include chronic muscle pain and severe headaches. Around 2,500 people in the UK have CFS, and I used to be one of them. Anyone can suffer from CFS, though it is more common in women than it is in men. It usually develops in the early 20s to mid-40s. Children can also be affected, usually between the ages of 13 and 15. I developed CFS early 2005. I was 14 at the time, and for the next 5 years I suffered from ME. The mass media and even some medical experts do not represent ME fairly. This reinforces people's perception that this illness is nothing to worry about, and that people that suffer from it have got it easy. As someone who suffered from this illness for a large portion of my adolescence, I can say that this opinion needs to be changed, as ME was the reason I missed out on having a proper teenage lifestyle and was instead confined to my bed. The fact the media slanders ME so much makes people who suffer from this illness feel inferior and unwanted. Due to this feeling of rejection from society, I could relate having ME to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, as I really only had the basic of needs, physiological and security. The more advanced needs, however, felt impossible for me to obtain, as feeling like an outcast, I lacked the self-esteem and confidence to feel loved or have any sense of belonging. I also lacked any respect for myself, meaning that I had no self-esteem, as I felt society had deemed me as a liar and a fraud for having an illness that was not fully understood. Not only did my illness affect me as a person, but it also affected the people that I held dear to me. Louise, what was it like having a relationship with someone suffering from ME?
It was quite hard because you never want to see someone that you love in pain, so I always found myself wanting to do something to make it better, but obviously you never can because there's nothing you can do. But I always kind of wished that I could have ME too, so that I would understand what he was going through and also just be able to relate to Andrew on that level.
Was it difficult to deal with?
Sometimes, yes, but he didn't really show me himself ill very often because he always wanted to try and be as normal as possible and not show anyone what he was going through. But of course, he was more open with me than he was with the other people.
How's my recovery affected you?
It means that we can do a lot more. Like before, he would get tired if we went out, but now we can spend the day out in town and be okay. And he's a lot happier, and you can tell that he's happier because before it was like there was a sort of emotional barrier stopping him from being properly happy.
Before I suffered from ME, I was an active, confident person who strived to do well in any endeavour that I undertook. Seeing my brother become the British champion of Kung Fu inspired me to follow in his footsteps, and at the age of 12 I became the British Junior Gold Medalist in Kung Fu. I had a great passion for life and had many aspirations for the future. This fueled me to lead an active lifestyle. However, this very suddenly changed just after I turned 14. I had an extreme case of mumps lasting for 6 months. In this time, not only did I fall behind in school, but also in my hobbies. After this, I never fully recovered, as mumps acted as the catalyst for my ME. After the mumps symptoms subsided, I began getting horrendous headaches and my entire body was in pain. I was constantly drained of energy. I felt like I had become a completely different person. For almost 2 years I suffered with these symptoms before I was finally diagnosed with ME. However, finding out this information did not alter my situation in any way or comfort me. I had become confined to my bedroom that in my mind had become my prison. Becoming ill meant I had given up all my hobbies, as I didn't have the strength to even attend school, let alone pursue outside interests. When I first became ill, I was abandoned by many of my friends as they did not seem to want to put up with my illness. This left me even more isolated, as I was deserted by the people who I thought were my friends. I told myself I did not need anybody to get through what I was suffering. I used dissonance to keep my idea of self intact. Like Gergen and Gergen suggest, I tried to mix with like-minded people, a self-maintenance strategy that I hope would boost my self-esteem. This did work, as I found a group of people who accepted me even though I was suffering from an illness. I had finally found a group that accepted me, but due to my illness I was unable to attend school very often, meaning I missed out on important social interaction. I was still very much isolated. I was still confined to my bed, and my health was rapidly deteriorating. This meant that my ideal self became very different to the former perceptions I had of my ideal self. I no longer had any aspirations other than the aspiration of one day being able to live a normal life, being able to do even the smallest of menial tasks such as walking or talking to my friends. Illness changed my entire personality in a short period of time. I had become a completely different person to who I used to be. My Johari window changed greatly through the duration of my illness. Before I was ill, I was very open and confident. The portion of myself that I kept hidden was very small. However, not long into my illness, my Johari window shifted greatly. The hidden portion of my window became a lot larger than my open portion, as I lost my confidence and also my trust in others. My blind self also increased, as I am sure people hid more from me, as they were trying not to upset me in any way. However, since May 2009, my Johari window has once again shifted, this time in a much more positive way. As in May 2009, I began to improve tremendously, as ME seemed to have gone. My open self since then has begun to get a lot larger, as I have regained a lot more of my former confidence. Recovering has improved my self-esteem greatly, as being able to lead a normal life, going to school and socialising with my friends, means I am no longer isolated. I am still affected by my experience of having ME, as I am in constant fear that it may return. Despite this, I have started to regain my old aspirations. Being able to complete my A-levels and hopefully moving on to higher education within the next few years means I now have an ideal self similar to the ideal self I had when I was younger.